Good to see you, Ollie.
Hey, good morning. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. What about you?
Yeah, I got a bit sick over the weekend, so
Oh my
sorry
God,
if
I'm
I might be
sorry.
coughing here or there, but yeah, it's okay.
It seems to be a thing in Europe. Like everyone, it's not just Germany, UK, France as
Yeah,
well. So I guess you are in these together.
yeah, exactly. Like I think it's rotating through all the people here. Like some already got sick one or two
But it's
weeks
good.
ago, and some will get sick
Yeah, I
immediately.
know. I know. It was last week for me, so I wouldn't
Okay,
say I passed that, but I'm feeling a little bit better. But it's always good to
good
see
to
your
hear.
Bored Ape Yacht Club in the background. I
Uh,
always love to see it.
yeah,
uh, I have my Ape Fest that you cannot see. I got from New York 3 years ago. I'm
yeah.
very proud of. So yeah, I keep it.
We
I
also
keep it.
got something new recently.
Don't show me that. I wasn't there.
You should
Oh
have
my
joined.
God,
It was really nice.
congrats. Yeah, congratulations, guys. So explain what it is to everyone.
Yeah, this one, what I just showed was like the Pocket Gamer Award for best use of blockchain. So
Mm,
there's at Gamescom each year, there's like for mobile games like a reward show,
yeah,
and there are different categories, and one category is best use of blockchain. And yeah, there were a few games nominated, like some big names, for example, Sandbox and a few others. But yeah, we could manage to secure the spot and win our first award actually.
yeah. No, congrats, guys. It's well deserved, and that's why I'm happy to have you today because there are so many things to unpack from what happened 2 weeks ago, last week, what's happening right now for your guys, but also from what the news you had for 2025 was actually crazy. So I'm super happy to have you. For 25 minutes together to uncover that. But for the ones who don't know about you and the game, could you tell us a little bit more about it? And I'm going to show, if I can find it, a little videos on my side at the same time.
Great. Yeah. Can give a brief intro about myself. So, yeah, I'm a lifelong gamer, always very passionate about playing, especially strategy games from when I was young. Switched from PC to more mobile games and created a passion for it. Played a lot of Clash of Clans quite competitively, and yeah, was studying computer science when some of my friends approached me to say, "Hey, why not making games?" And yeah, first I thought like, okay, I never thought of making games. It was more like about playing games. And yeah, so we started in a student's apartment, coming together, working on one way better Clash of Clans. There was three students never worked on anything, any game before, and of course this totally failed. So we got a lot of learnings and decided to make a way simpler game, and that was called Idle Miner Tycoon, which is was one of the first, I would say, commercially successful idle games out there. And yeah, we managed basically from our student apartment to yeah, release it, ship updates, and grow organically. So we bootstrapped the whole company out of the success of Idle Mana Tycoon. We're quickly moving to 30 people, then to 90 in a year. And in the end, we're more than 100 people working on Idle Miner and a few other idle titles with a company called Colibri Games.
Wow.
And then Ubisoft knocked on the door and we were into discussions around like yeah, an exit and acquisition, and yeah, Ubisoft then bought Colibri Games in 2020, right before COVID started. And yeah, we as the founder stayed for another year, made sure that everything is handed off, and then yeah, I was sitting at home, no more 60-hour weeks anymore. And yeah, it was COVID, so nothing else you could really do. And I looked around what was happening, and yeah, it was a lot around NFT hype in summer 21. And of course, Axie Infinity. So started to look deeper into this, went then really down the rabbit hole and was really excited about like or getting really excited about the blockchain space and yeah, then a bit later, I discussed it with two friends, and we started then to do two NFT drops. It's our still available NFTs, the Fire Collection and the Water Collection dinos that are available, and you can use them in the game. And it worked out so well that we decided, okay, hey, let's start a new company called Voya Games and focus on the Angry Dynamites Lab. So released the game in the end of 23, which was the very first iteration of what Craftworld is. That's our main game. And it's a resource management game available on Android, iOS, and web. And we were on a testnet for quite some time. But yeah, earlier this year in summer, I think it was 31st of July, we released it on the Ronin mainnet and had very good success so far. Um, and yeah, that's about it in a nutshell.
I love it. And you've seen the game, and we're going to talk about that because I was going through your partnership with Frenzy Fishing Frenzy, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think it's a masterpiece of why and how you could understand the value of blockchain when you have two different gaming studio working together. So we're going to go through that for sure. And we would love you to talk about the kind of key takeaways we got from the report. I mean, there are so many things I could talk about based on who you are and what you do. But we were just talking about. I love when people disagree because that's where we have a concrete conversation. But we had Tom, very polished game just before with us with Revived. We had this discussion about the industry drivers. And one of the key takeaways we got was the one you see on screen. So the 29.5% of the respondent claimed that cites that high quality game launches as the primary driver of future industry success, without minimizing everything you're doing on your side, but still defining you as a casual game. And please let me know if I'm wrong. I would love to be. How do you see these stats? Is it correct? How do you feel about these?
Yeah, I think it basically mirrors the sentiment of the industry quite well, at least how I perceive it through different channels. So I'm talking to other founders as well as, of course, reading through X. I think the whole gaming industry, Web3 gaming industry specifically, went to a big turnover this year, especially in the beginning of the year. A lot of games announced that they will not continue and that they even need to shut down some of the game companies behind it because there was a lack of funding. And yeah, I mean, this shifted the whole space into, yeah, kind of identifying what it really comes down to. And I'm pretty much agree with what's on the slide here. We need high quality games to kind of make this turnaround. We need sustainable, revenue-driven
Yeah.
businesses, as it's said here as well. And I think that's very healthy for the Web3 gaming industry. I think before, at least to a lot of people I talked to, it was never about like, okay, how can we actually make sustainable revenue? How can we make a good game? How can we find distribution? And so on and so forth. And most of it was financed by VC money that run out for a lot of studios in the beginning of the year. And now I think it's more about like, okay, how can we make games that are, yeah, can compete with regular games that can create sustainable revenues so they're not so much reliant on VC money and really focus on how, yeah, you can retain users, monetize users. And I think that could lead to, in the next 1 or 2 years, to more good quality games that can sustain that are not so reliant on external funding anymore. And yeah, so I think although it was quite negative for a lot of studios, I think it's very healthy for the industry. And the ones who are surviving this one and focusing on the right things, I think, might have a very good success in the future.
Yeah, I kind of definitely agree. Like I was about to ask you this question, which was like you've been in the space for quite some time, very resilient. based on what you already built, games, but also games on blockchain. And now these one with Angry Dynamites. So the question was like, what do you see happening? Like, what shift do you see happening before, for the past 2 3 years ago, and what we're gonna have for 2026? I guess the answer is based on what you just said, like a shift in terms of understanding how blockchain could give you the ability to think of new revenue model, which will be one of them, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's also more about innovation now. People really experimenting a lot, doing fast iteration cycles, not just working on a game for 2 years, then
Yeah.
releasing it, identifying that it doesn't work out, and then run out of money. It's more like, okay, see a bit more also like more casual games, more mobile focused games coming out, and these are usually tend to be cheaper to develop and then faster to iterate on, which I think will
Mm,
lead to more experimentation, which will lead to more innovation. And I think that's basically what we need to achieve. We need to have good games that also innovate on the gaming space, because yeah, otherwise why would use Web3 at all? And yeah, I see this especially also because we talked about Fishing Frenzy, for example. They're
yeah.
doing a lot of cool stuff, and a few others out there. So yeah, very excited to see what comes out of there and how we can then spin this into sustainable revenue models.
Mm. Yeah, it's the definition of who you are, in my opinion, when you say innovation and experimentation. On a few points, like Fishing Frenzy is one example, but when you have so many games trying to figure out if they have to launch a token, if they want to launch one token, two token, you're actually launching how many you have on your side.
I
And
think
can
if
you
we
obviously
call, yeah,
explain what's behind? But we love you to talk about your strategy around these tokens.
yeah, I think by now we already launched, when we count in all the event tokens, like 40, 50 tokens on the Ronin blockchain. So we have a very resource focused game. So you have a mine produces resources, or NFTs like the fire and water diners producing resources in intervals. You can use these resources then to, yeah, as an input in factories to then produce other resources. So we got a lot inspired by Factorio, but in a way more casual way. And all of these resources that are basically being created in the game are ESC20 tokens, and you can trade them with each other. So this creates like then, although the gameplay is quite simple, just by having them as like tokens, it creates a very deep player-owned economy where players can decide what they want to do with the tokens. Of course, they can trade them for others. They can provide liquidity for them to get passive fees, as we have actually a lot of trades happening. They can gift it to their friends. They can yeah, lend it out using some protocols. And I think that's one very nice thing around like Web3, that just by integrating into the whole ecosystem of, let's say, DeFi or tokens in general, it opens up so much more possibilities for the players. And we as game developers don't need to do so much because it's already available out there. All the protocols are battle tested and so on. So yeah, I think that's very exciting for me, and we definitely want to double down on
Mm.
this.
How did you find that? Do you still find that challenging to actually manage all these liquidity you have and that you pour into the economy, in a sense, for the players who can actually utilize every kind of the resources backed by this ERC20 format? Like, how do you see these challenging in the day-to-day life of a gaming studio, having to deal with gaming mechanics, engagements, and also this new economy you're handling yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I at least don't know. Maybe there are some projects, but I don't know any game that has that many tokens.
Agree.
And yeah, there's no blueprint for it. So it's like, yeah, we really need to think a lot of, like from a first principle perspective, what makes sense? How can we utilize it? How can what are the motivations for players? How are they gonna play? How are they gonna make the trades and so on? So yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, thinking around it, identifying what are good features and how we can put in certain limitations still, that it's still fun, and yeah, on the other hand, then also, of course, testing it. So, as I said, like we already shipped a very small game prototype very early on, and since then are basically developing it publicly. And
Mm,
we're shipping updates, we're learning from the community, we're taking feedback into consideration, new updates. And I think that's also a bit like what I mentioned earlier, like the experimentation that leads to innovation. So we're doing a lot of these things, trying out stuff, and sometimes things break, sometimes things go in the wrong direction. But yeah, we can just ship another quick update to fix it and input and put the input from the users into the game.
mm.
So yeah, I mean that's our goal.
You said blueprint. I don't want to put you in a position to deliver the blueprint of being one of the only games studios utilizing blockchain to raise money in 2025. But so I'm not going to ask for any blueprint for sure, but would love you to share any if you can, any kind of advices on, how you've been through this raising funding process, maybe to all the gaming entrepreneurs we have who want to innovate, who want to experiment. If you have any things you could say to them, this is obviously super challenging, and I'm not surprised that you did it yourself, as per what we already discussed together. But if you have any insight, I know it's not always good to be in that position, but I do think it could be super helpful.
Of course, yeah, yeah. So not gonna lie, it's like super challenging this year and probably I can imagine next year as well to raise any VC money. A lot of VCs got a bit burned, of course, from the shutdowns of the studios. Some are the more generalist crypto funds are maybe not so interested anymore into it, and yeah, but there's still believers, and I also think like especially our VCs that invested into us, they are more like looking really long term into it, looking at from a yeah, also the kind of well, how can it change the gaming space, and actually also often investing anti-cyclical, where there's a lot of like fear and uncertainty. They think it's a good time then to find people, and yeah, we raised with 1KX, Makers Fund, and Rockaway, and I can just say they're super great, talented guys there. They really it was really refreshing to talk to them. And yeah, I mean, for some tips, it's just like yeah, don't chase the hypes, identify like how you want to see the future of Web3 gaming also as a player. What do you want to see? How can we really use the technology
Mm.
to do things? How can we, with a low burn, release fast, maybe show some early traction, make some early revenues, show growth still in a phase which, of course, very challenging, but it's possible. And yeah, don't go and say like, yeah, we launch a token next year and then everything will boom. These times are over. Rather, really think about like how the technology can help you support the game you are building and build something exciting, not just cloning any Web2 game into Web3. Of course, can get inspired by it, but you need to, I think, build a game with Web3 in mind from the very beginning. And otherwise, it will always be either not a good game, or it will just be putting a token on top of an
Yeah.
existing game, which I think also doesn't work as we've seen in the past. So yeah, these are some of the advices I can give.
Yeah, and they are really great advices. I really appreciate that, and again, I wish you the best for what's ahead. I'm sure it's going to be great. And one of the things we're seeing, as I said, is the collaboration with Fishing Frenzy. Could you talk a little bit about that? For me, it's the best use case in terms of how, as I said, two game studios can work together and can um, kind of introduce some no, it's definitely a difficult one in English, but I'm going to try.
Nation
Po- Polarization,
pollination.
yeah, kind of
Yeah,
mixing every communities
yeah,
into one game experience. Could you talk a little bit about that, because that's super powerful in my opinion. I'm gonna search for a video at the same time so people can see
yeah.
the game.
Of course. Yeah. So when I started. with Voya, I was already part of a bunch of communities, gaming NFT communities, and for me it was always very intriguing, like how invested the communities are into these games and projects, and how passionate, and so on and so forth. And I always felt like community needs to be a cornerstone of Web3 games. And I always thought like, okay, why not mix communities together, have fun together, and maybe also a competition between each other. And yeah, that's why I always wanted to find ways and how can we really like kind of deeply do partnerships across collaborations, and so that everyone benefits from these things. And I talked a bit about the player-owned economy, and how we have so many tokens live. And for me, it was always like, okay, why should we launch just another token when we can already make use of some tokens that are existing, and therefore really breaking the boundaries between like just our game and the whole Web3 space. And that's why we decided to experiment with certain communities, to launch time limited events where we integrate their main token into the game, so that you can yeah, basically create other resources out of these tokens. And yeah, we recently launched with Fishing Frenzy. I think they're super talented, great guys. I think checking a lot of the boxes I just talked earlier, small team, looking for fast revenue, innovating, and yeah, we basically yeah used the fish tokens from their that they recently launched also, and then you can create like here the dino fish, and later you can create sashimi and lobster and a lot of other resources, and can spend them on a masterpiece where there's a huge prize pool than always. So out of the all the imported fish tokens that players use and burn in the game, we actually recycle them into a prize pool. So 80% of all the imports go into the prize pool, and these are then basically player funded prize pools, but they can grow quite a bit. I think right now we are at like six. Uh, I think it's an older video, but yeah, we already had like think around 6 million, maybe 5 to 6 million fish tokens in the prize pool, which is around 15 to 20,000 dollars that you can win there. And yeah, we always think it's a great way to have fun together, where we can provide utility for a token. So it's a win for the partner project, but we get also more visibility from the partner project, as they are also supporting us with announcements and so on. So we get a bit more users, and even our users are more looking into the other projects, buying the fish tokens. And in this case, we are using the karma system as well, where you can get karma points by doing certain actions that are beneficial for the ecosystem of the Fishing Frenzy game. So if you hold or stake fish tokens, if you buy certain NFTs, you get more karma points. And we are integrating the karma points also in the game, where you can then basically get special boosters depending on how many karma points you have.
Mm.
And yeah, so we think that's always just like super cool collaborations. Usually the players are super invested into that. They're having a lot of fun, and yeah, it's always exciting to see how it plays out and who will be on the top leaderboards.
Yeah, I was pretty much invested as well on that. I spent some hours on these two myself, and yeah,
Great.
it's wonderful. Like as you said, like it's crazy to see how you could utilize a game token for one game to actually the gameplay for another game, and giving utility for both games in terms of getting the two communities play together. Obviously, for the prize pool you have above, um, it's super cool example. So congratulations for that, guy. So what I know it's not finished. You have a few weeks maybe when it's done. Can you explain what's gonna happen?
Yeah, so actually on the screen you can see the masterpiece feature. So basically, with all the resources that you generate, you build like a community building that creates so many resources that a single player can't do this. And then depending on how many resources you spend on building this community masterpiece, you will then rise in the leaderboard. And we usually do three masterpieces per event. The first one just got completed on a weekend. The second one will launch later today, and then there will be a third one, and the third one will every masterpiece has certain awards based on your leaderboard rank, and the last one will then feature the big prize pool.
Mm.
And yeah, the next one will go live later. Probably takes a few days to complete, and then the last one will likely start by the end of the week,
Okay.
which will then yeah, kind of run probably until the holidays. And yeah, so excited to see like how many people will then participate as they likely have a bit more time.
Because the end of the year is always the time for alpha, and we got some big launch announced for the during the Game Awards. So because of that vibe, should we expect more collaboration than that after Fishing Frenzy and another game on the pipelines? Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, there will be more. It's actually already the third one we are doing
Oh, really? Okay,
on Ronin. So we did one with Axie Infinity
okay.
already a few weeks back, and before that we did like three partner communities actually. There was some meme tokens and NFT projects, which was also really fun. And yeah, of course, you can expect way more to come. Working on a bigger feature release that we'll also put live early next week, which will yeah, basically be the power feature where you can build power plants and batteries to store power that you use for running the factories, and it will change a bit the whole play style of the game as the events. And I think that's something that if you also played the game for some time ago, it will change up quite a bit of strategy.
Mm.
So we're excited to also maybe see some older players who got a bit bored and maybe want to retry it again.
Love it. Innovate, innovation, as you said, experimentation. So I love that. The question I had for everyone before, and I will have with every speakers after you, what will be your prediction for 2026, if you have any?
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of smaller, yeah, so much innovation, but yeah, smaller innovations happening in Web3 space. There will be not many, but yeah, a few of the dedicated Web3 gaming builders continue to build, experimenting and yeah, basically yeah, find ways on how to make sustainable revenue and get people engaged. I think I don't expect a huge breakout or hype happening in 26 to be honest, but I think the game developers still building, they will lay the foundation to then have like a bigger explosion, maybe 27 or end of 26. And I think it also needs to be something where all the builders who are still building like kind of collaborate together. I think it's not something where one single game will make the hit. I think it needs to be like effort with a lot of different participants, of course, the builders, but also the ecosystems, like for example, Ronin, even maybe some of the exchanging, listing some of the tokens and so on. And yeah, I think this could then bring a new fuel for a bigger explosion of Web3 gaming, maybe to the end of 26 or 27. That's at least my thoughts.
Yeah, no, love it. Love it. I wish you good recovery. Hopefully it's gonna be
Thank
before
you.
Christmas for you. It should.
Yeah,
I send you
I hope so.
all the best. But yeah, thank you for coming
Yeah,
for the 30-minute conversation, and I'm so happy to have you within the BGA, because we learn so much from the experimentation innovation you're doing on your side. So congratulations for the prize you got and the other prizes you will get. And
hopefully.
I wish you a very good end of the year. Thanks again, Oli.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hosting. And yeah, I think there will be a lot of other great builders coming. So we're excited to listen in a bit here as well.
Agree. Thanks, Oli.
Yeah.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Lev.
day. Have a good
Bye
weekend.
bye.
Bye.